So after many years of sailing the Liverpool to Dublin, Dublin to Liverpool route, the Adela would meet a very tragic end on the 27th of December 1917. Just 2 weeks earlier, the SS Hare had been sunk on the 14th of December. The SS Hare was making its way from England into Dublin when it was hit by German torpedoes and was sunk and lost about half of its crew, many of them from the Docklands area. This would have been very fresh in the minds of the crew of the SS Adela as they set out on the 27th of December. Just after Christmas, families probably still in the festive spirit, and we know one of the crew members was celebrating his birthday that day. It set out from Dublin just after 5 o'clock. At that time, there was a system in place. They were aware of the threat of U-boats, so you could be held up for a day or two, you could be held up for a few hours until you got Admiralty clearance and allowed to sail. The SS Adela set out just after 5, and we don't know a lot about what went on the ship that day. The ship's log has never been found, but we do know at approximately 10 to 12, as it was approaching the Skerries, Anglesey, just off Holyhead, it was struck by a German torpedo. There would have been panic aboard. The ship almost broke in two and started to sink immediately. The lifeboats crashed onto the deck. Some of them are damaged, but luckily one of them landed in the water safely. A number of people, including Captain Michael Tyrrell, managed to scramble into that lifeboat. I think 4 of them got in originally, and they managed to pull another 3 men out of the water. There's a total of 7 of them in that lifeboat, which was damaged, filling with water, and they had to spend a few hours. They'd no oars. They had to spend a few hours drifting, trying to bail out that boat so it wouldn't go under. Again, it's hard to imagine the panic they were in. The ship was carrying livestock, so when it went down, we know the livestock were in the water. They would have been thrashing about frantically trying to swim, and they would have been drowning around the men. A terrible sight. On top of the panic, the risk of their own lives, there would have been the horrible sounds of maybe other men calling out, the noise of the ship sinking, and the animals thrashing around. The only survivor also recalled that in the distance he did spot the U-boat on the surface, having a look at the damage they had done before turning and sailing away. The men in the lifeboat faced a terrible ordeal. It was pitch black, it was freezing, they would have been soaked, and the lifeboat was rapidly filling with water that they had to constantly bail. The water was choppy and a number of men were washed overboard. Eventually it came to shore near Holyhead. Of all the men who managed to stay on board, only one would survive, and that was Captain Michael Tyrrell. According to the family of Samuel Burrows, we've no record of this, but according to family law, Samuel did survive for a very short time when they were taken ashore, but would die afterwards. The sole survivor, Captain Tyrrell, he did speak at an inquest on the loss of the ship, and I'll just read what he said about the crew. It's quite significant. He said, "All discharged of their duties faithfully and well." And at the inquest, he broke down giving evidence, and apparently the coroner broke down. It was so emotional hearing the evidence. But one of the reports afterwards in the Irish Independent described Captain Tyrrell and said he survived because he was a man of powerful physique. He had been a lifelong seafarer, and tragically he was the only man to survive on that ship. There was the loss of the entire crew. There was the loss of the single passenger, a woman, Christina Kavanagh, and Captain Tyrrell survived and would go back to sea for Ted Castles in the years to come.